Hi guys, I'm going to walk you through the Consumer Textiles Swatch Kit project to let you know everything that you have to do and make it really clear and easy for you. So this is the Swatch Kit book that I had you purchase. It's like a binder, right? And I'm not exactly sure if yours looks the same way mine does or came with the same things, but let's walk through what it's got. So hopefully you had in there this pack of swatches, right? That's super important. And then in here are these blank pages, right? They all say Mount Swatch here up at the top. And then maybe there were also some pages over here that look like this, that have a number, like start with number 1 and go all the way to number 48. And what this is a description of each swatch so that you can label it. I'm not sure, mine came with some sort of CD, maybe yours came with something like that, I'm not sure. This might just be part of the instructor manual. Yours might have come with some cheap tape, like tape that looks like this. If it did, I swear you can just throw it away because it's really not going to work. I think, like I said, that I've seen that the kits come with this tape and the students have used it in the past to try to stick their fabric swatches on, and it just falls right off. So if it came with tape, use that for something else for later, for paper, because it is not gonna work. What you're gonna do is, using this sheet that they gave you, we are going to take all the swatches and put them into the book, and we are going to fill out this information one by one. So this is going to force you to have to touch every textile, to have to write it down. It's just part of studying for you, and ultimately this binder becomes something you keep forever, and it's a textile reference for you that you could always look back and say, you know, what does this specific type of textile look like? I can look through and I can find it. Okay, so for each one, again, you're going to want to mount the swatch. So I will say you can kind of figure this out, right? The first swatch is going to be this light blue linen. We could kind of guess this if we were really confused, right? Because look, it looks, number 1 says linen, and number 48, the very last one, says quilted fabric. And that's obviously what we have back here. It literally looks like the back of a quilt, right? So keep these in their order until you are really ready to use them, and make sure that you don't get them mixed up. Okay, that's why it's got these rubber bands on it, or however they've got it held together. Obviously this is number 1, and it goes through to number 48, which is in the back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we would do them one by one. I might not even take the whole thing out. See, I might just do that so that I could do it. Also, I will say, and this is kind of helpful, this is the bottom. This is the underside of a quilt, right? We can see it's like the underside layers. The front of the quilt would look like this. It would look really cute. So that means this is the top of every piece of fabric. Some of these, it might be like not so obvious, which is the front and which is the back. But like, for example, this one, I was just flipping through and I could see that's obviously the front, and see, that's obviously the back. It looks different. So again, if you keep it just like this, you know that every time you pick one up, it's already facing the front of the fabric. And this is how I want you to adhere it to your page so that I can see the front of the fabric. Something like the linen, honestly, sometimes there's really not a huge difference of which is the front or the back. So you can just put that there. So again, that regular tiny little bit of tape that they gave you, not really probably gonna work. Like, you could try to do this, but probably it's just gonna come right out. I really like double-sided tape. So they make double-sided tape that is just this exact same size, and it's like, you know, either it's got like a sticky that you peel off, or the whole thing is just sticky on both sides. Double-sided tape is my preference for putting fabric on paper, and I really like it. You could also use like giant packing tape. The only thing is, the reason this swatch is so big is you always want to be able to see the front and the back. You don't want to attach the whole swatch so that you can't always get to the back. You want to be able to at least feel like this with your fingers, at least half of it. So if you use a big piece of packing tape, just make sure you only put it on the top and you don't tape the whole thing down. I have also seen students use staplers with a little bit of success. Let me make sure I've only got one page here. So I could come through and I could staple. That works. As long as you've come down far enough and it doesn't feel like it's gonna unravel, that also totally works. So whatever you gotta do to attach this to the page, okay? And then we'll go through step by step. So the first thing is swatch number. And again, I'm getting this right off this sort of cheat sheet here that says Consumer Textile Swatch Kit Master List. And this should come with your kit, okay? So this one is number 1. And let's see, the next thing it asked me is for fabric name. And this is on the sheet. The fabric name is linen. So I can write that down. Linen. And then the next thing it asks me is for fiber content. That's also here. And here it says 100% flax. So I will write that, 100% flax. Then it asks for yarn type. That is not listed here. This is something that I want you to do. So what I want you to do for yarn type is to unravel one individual yarn from your swatch and then indicate whether it's a simple yarn or a ply yarn. So let me see if I can get a yarn off of here. There we go. So find like a bit, right? And I've got one individual yarn that's making up that fabric. And I can untwist it and see if I've got multiple plies or if it's just a simple yarn. I don't see any other plies coming off of this one. I could try to dismantle it even further, really like untwist it where it's down to the fibers. But I think this is a simple 1-ply yarn, okay? And then again, each swatch may be a little different. It may be really clear that it's got a couple of yarns wrapped around. So you can indicate that. So you could either indicate there that it's a simple yarn or a ply yarn. And I'm gonna go ahead and say simple, okay? And then you can get rid of that. If you want, I guess you could also attach that with some tape kind of showing your work, whatever you need to do to be able to remember what you did. So the next thing that it asks for is fabrication. This is here and it's under description. So I've got that written on the assignment sheet in case you forget, but basically what I want you to do is write what's under description, which is balanced plain weave suiting weight. So that's under fabrication. Balanced plain weave, and I'll write maybe way down here just because I've kind of run out of space. I've given a lot of extra space on here, so right down at the bottom under miscellaneous, I'll write suiting weight. Maybe you can fit it all. I have big fat handwriting. Okay, the next thing that they ask for is dye/print. What I want you to do is indicate to the best of your ability any finish that may have been used. Oh, I'm sorry, not finish, but any dye or print that may have been used. Finish is the next category. So again, this is where you'll have to maybe use your book and go back up and look up these terms. Was it fiber dyed? Was it yarn dyed? Was it piece dyed? Was it resist dyed or printed? And then if it is, what is the type? Is it tie-dye? Is it screen print? Is it batik? Was it solution dyed? Is it gray goods, which means there's no dye or print at all? You will have to go back through your book, look up these terms, and make sure that you're giving a good educated guess. A good way around this is like, we know this, it doesn't have any print on it. It obviously hasn't been printed with any pattern or logo or graphic or anything like that. We also probably know that this flax didn't grow out of the ground blue. So I'm guessing that it's been dyed in some way, okay? So what we can do is go back and look up all the different types of dye, and maybe there is some standard that they always use for flax or linen fabric that is what's going to indicate, oh yeah, this must have been dyed in that way. And worst case, if you didn't know, you can say that it's been dyed blue. Not sure of how, but again, the more specific you can be, the better. If you can say, like, I know this type of fabric is always yarn dyed, then that would be great. You can put that in again, and your book's going to give you a lot of these answers. So you'll just have to go back and look up those processes. And then the same with finish. Indicate to the best of your ability what finish might have been used. Maybe it has sueding, napping, beetling, bleaching. If it's silk, maybe there's been a boil off. If it's burned out, if there's an obvious embroidery on it, maybe it's water repellent, etc., etc. So again, you can kind of look with some of them and it's going to be really obvious that it's got something on there, and others you might have to kind of investigate a little bit further. Okay, so to the best of your ability, a dye and a print and a finish. And again, it might be nothing. There might be none that you put there, okay? Probably everything's gonna have a dye or a print, unless it is literally like clearly a natural gray good. But there's a lot of color in here, and I don't think these things grew out of the ground in this color. So if anything, finish might be empty, unless it's obvious that you've got some kind of finish, you know, and technique that's been done. But dye and print, there should be something. And then end uses. I want you to identify at least one specific end use for each of the fabrics, such as home goods. You know, this could be a pillow, this could be a blanket. You could say men's suiting, women's formal wear, unisex active wear, children's sleepwear, etc., etc. Tell me what you could do with this. Okay, this is like a light blue, pretty linen. This and it told us it was suiting weight. This might make a good men's spring suiting, you know, or women's, right? I could totally see this as like a cute women's, you know, skirt suit set, something like that. So give me one very specific end use. I mean, you could also say this would be like really great curtains or really great bedspread, something like that. And then under characteristics, I want you to give me at least 3 characteristics of this fabric. And that can refer to the fiber properties that we talked about way back in chapter 3, or the properties of the finished fabric. And whatever you choose, it's going to justify why you chose that end use. So for example, if I said, you know, women's spring suiting, the characteristics I could refer to is that I know this is 100% flax. This is linen. It's lightweight. It's breathable. It's comfortable. Those are characteristics that I can give. Comfortable, breathability, lightweight, the actual fabric itself, because it's this baby blue, I could say that. I could say the characteristics are a light baby blue that would lend itself either to a spring women's wear look or even a men's springtime look. Honestly, that color could go either way, but you could talk about characteristics of the finished fabric or of the fiber properties itself. So give me 3 characteristics. Again, what do we know about natural fibers? I think we already said, so breathability, comfortability. This is a woven, it's not a knit fabric, so you could talk about that as a characteristic. You can say this is going to hold its shape really well because it's a woven fabric, or it's going to be a little bit of a better quality than a knit fabric. It's going to be a nice high quality natural fiber that will have good performance, things like that. Just give me a few characteristics where you're dropping those textile terms that we've talked about, like it has a stiff drape, right? This doesn't fall really slinky over my body like a satin or something would. You know, it has kind of a stiff, heavy drape, so it would be really great for like a jacket, like a suit jacket. That's why they call it, say it was good for suiting. It'd be really good for like a crisp pair of trousers. Talk about some of those characteristics and just give me 3. And you could write that here, and that can flow over into this miscellaneous section, okay? And you're gonna do that for every single textile. We've got 48 total, and you're gonna photograph each page so that I can really clearly read all your details. You're gonna put it all together in a PowerPoint presentation or some kind of one PDF document that I can really easily flip through so that I can grade you for this. And this is going to be due, I believe, the very last day that it could possibly due, which is Sunday, December 6th. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, but that is what I want you to do. Good luck.